Hello divas, dudes and dolls, I'm Caricature and welcome back to my head-pounding, heart-stopping, and home-wrecking little review show, Very Slay, where we go over each and every main stage runway look on RuPaul's Drag Race UK Series 6. This week on the runway, our 9 remaining queens had to serve headpiece looks for this How's Your Headpiece themed runway, which is a theme that we've seen across the seasons, across the franchises over the years, and it's always fun because it's so broad, it allows the queens to just really do whatever. There were some really great looks this week, as always on this show, so let's get ready to dive on into them. As always, when we go into these looks, if I think that it got the job done, met the brief, but wasn't anything amazing, we give it an okay. If I absolutely adored it from top to bottom, we give it a slay, and if I think it was a miss, we give it a nay. That's all in efforts to find my weekly slay of the day, my favorite look of the entire episode, and that look will go head to head against our current ranked slay of the season, which is Marmalade's Mother Nature look from last week. I will be illustrating whichever look comes out on top at the end of the season once we've crowned a new winner. Sneak peeks of that illustration will be going over to Patreon starting at the $3 tier level. You can also join for free to get all caught up on episode discussion posts. Really, UK is the only one I think I'm still behind on, but there will be one big long post from everything from episode 2 to now, and we'll get that all up there this week as this episode is coming out, probably shortly after. But if you want bonus videos as well, those will be starting to come next week as seasons end. So get excited for that. Be sure to sign up soon because next week, the very first one that I'm doing is dropping specifically for Global All-Stars. But if you want more information on that, you'll have to watch my Global All-Stars finale review to get all the tea on that. With all that business out of the way, let's go ahead and dive on into these looks. First up on the runway this week, we have Marmalade, and once again, my god, she's just really running away with the title of Runway Queen this season. I swear to god, her and Kiana from Philippines Season 3, I honestly think they have two of the strongest runway packages on a first run that we've ever seen in the history of Drag Race as a franchise. Amazing, incredible work. It's very Ziegfeld Follies, it's very 1930s. I love this era of fashion and costuming so much. So the fact that Marmalade consistently pulls from something like this as much as she does, it makes me so happy. I love the drape of the cape, I love the fringe placement, it's just really smartly designed. And the headpiece is great. I love that there's like the shoulder treatment as well to kind of reflect the headpiece. She just looks like a very, very fanciful little centerpiece. It's almost giving me like Cunty Beauty and the Beast furniture, you know, when they come to life. That's kind of what this is giving me in the best way. It's a slide. Up next, we have Lil, who's doing this really stunning Schiaparelli reference. I love this color gown on her. Just in general, I love this dark purple. It's beautiful. And in velvet, amazing. I think the headpiece is interesting too because it's not so much of a headpiece as it is more of like a facial framing mask. And doing this idea of life on the front and death on the back is really interesting. I think having the centipede as a gold accent piece, that also works as well. It really ties the whole thing together. It very much reads as the fashion reference she's going for. I adore it. It's a slay. Then up next we have Kiki's Snatch, and this angel look, I think this is her best look in the competition so far, by a long shot. The headpiece is great. I love the dress too. I do feel the same about this with Lil's too. I think when you have both of these looks right after Marmalade, Marmalade's look is such a showstopper piece. It's so incredible that it makes the things that come after it look very lacking in comparison. But I still really enjoy this. I think this is a great look. I love the scale of it. I think it really fits. The way she performed it was stunning. I love the color treatment in the skirt and the dress. I love that it's not just gold tones, neutrals. I love that there's some purple in there too. It's a really pretty color for her. It's gonna be a slay. Then up next we have Lavoie, and I'm not going to be giving her any points for originality today because it's a Carmen Miranda inspired feathery headdress moment. It's very samba showgirl, but the scale of it is great. And once again, I think there's something about the way she does her makeup that reads so 1980s dynasty. Like, I swear to God, she gives me Joan Collins so much. And I don't know who she's doing in Snatch Game next week, but I kind of hope that it is Joan Collins because I think she could actually pull it off. I think she'll do something more comedic. That would be very funny. I would enjoy it immensely. So that's what I'm personally hoping for. I think the colors are a little garish. It's very highlighter package, but it's not bad. I think it still works. I'm gonna give it a soft slay. It's not bad by any means. As in my personal taste, No. Then up next we have Charavan Brax, who is doing a headpiece with all these ears, and she's doing this toxic waste storyline. It's giving very basket case kind of energy. You know, where it's like the twin that's in the basket and it's like the little blob of flesh and it like leaps out at people, but yassified. I probably sound crazy, but that's what this gives me. I actually really like the headpiece. I like the scale of it. I like the shoulders on the bodysuit, but that's it. It's a bodysuit. It's just a stretched latex or vinyl bodysuit with ears and noses and like facial pieces on it, and it's just, I don't know. There's something about it that I think is lacking some finishing. There's some detailing that it could have used. It would have really taken it to the next level. Is it stupid and over-the-top goofy? Yes. And I love it for that, but I do think that the final product could have been elevated just a smidge more. So I'm going to give it an okay. Up next, we have Chanel O'Connor, who is giving us a look that is a nod to her love of dressmaking and sewing. The dress is so basic. It's such a simple silhouette. Like, it's flattering. I don't think it's bad. I think the hair is gorgeous. The headpiece itself, I was not a huge fan of it. I just feel like it wasn't conceptually is lacking that wow factor. Like, is it good? Yes. But again, when you compare it to some of the things we've seen before it, it really falls short. For me, this is just gonna be okay. I do think it's well styled though. I'll give her that. Then up next we have Relisa, who is also doing this feathery showgirl moment. I definitely prefer her look to Lavoie's in terms of silhouette and just overall structure, but I think in terms of execution, Lavoie has her beat. I think the feathers look better on her look than what they do on Relisa's. I'm not a huge fan of the cape element, and ultimately it's like just a swimsuit with a feather cape and this headpiece. She looks very volcanic, very showgirl. It's great for that energy. But I don't know, especially after last week. Last week's runway was so good. I was hoping that that would be like the start of a great runway package for the rest of the season for her. And this is a bit of a letdown in that regard for me. And that's more just my own personal expectations not being met. But for me, it's just okay. Then up next we have Octavia. I do love that she's continued this kind of signature A that's in her makeup every week throughout the look as a whole, and that's not the headpiece. It's definitely the most different look that we've seen from her in the course of the competition. It's the most, I think, borderline conceptual thing we've seen. Most of her looks are very performance ready or performance adjacent. I think it's interesting. I think there's something that is like borderline Alexander McQueen-y about this, but still in a different, personal draggy way. But I also, again, like Chanel and Relisa, found this look really lacking comparatively to the rest of the looks on the runway this week. I think the three of them probably have the least impressive when it comes to execution and concept. So for me, this is also just okay. And then finally, we have Charity, who's giving us this little gumball machine moment. Now this is an outfit that as a concept is so fun. And the design, like the whole thing is giving paper drag to me, which I adore. I was a part of that world for a few years, so I am very familiar with it. I could totally see something like this in those spaces. And I think it's so goofy. My biggest thing that I don't necessarily like about it is that it doesn't totally hit the floor. It's like an inch too short for me. I think the scale is great. I think the placement of all the gumballs over it is really fun. And I think it's campy. Like, it's campy, it's kooky. It still has that kind of elegance and fashion factor to it with it being a gown and just the treatment of like the piping along the hip around the side. I do think that could have been done a little better just to better reflect the design of like some gumball machines. I think that just needed more structure, just to hold that up a little more. This is the most memorable look I think she's done in the competition so far, and it's definitely my favorite look she's done in the competition so far. This is a slay. Okie dokie, that's everything, and it's now time to pick my slay of the day, my favorite look of the week, and it should be no surprise that once again, it's going to Marmalade. I mean, she started it off so fucking strong this week, and nobody held a candle to her on this runway, in my opinion. It's time to put this look head to head against last week. I love both of these immensely. I think both will be very fun to do. They both have this very airtight energy to me that I think is very in line with Marmalade's drag, which I adore. I am, however, going to keep her Call Me Mother Nature Runway as our slay of the season. I just find that look more interesting, more strong, and I think I would have more fun drawing it, in all honesty. I love all the silver, though. Love all the silver. And with that, we are quickly approaching the halfway point in the competition. I can't wait to see what happens next, but either way, I cannot wait to see the results of this really strong season. I think it's my favorite season for UK since 2. I think the cast is one of the strongest ones they've had collectively since. So as always, if you want even more Drag Race fashion coverage, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all those lovely little things. And don't forget, you know, super chats are always welcome. Maybe if you want to throw some little money my way or a little digital tip, I will take it all. Or joining the Patreon too. Always available as an option. But that is going to be it for today. So be sure to go out there, stay kind, stay queer, and make sure that your day is very slay.